Okay, I finished the first color, and what you can see is what I did is I selected all the things that were the kind of like the second darkest color, and I put them into one group. Now, if you do this, okay, if you go unlock everything, one of the things you can do is you can hide this layer. Actually, wait a minute, no, you can't. I actually think I just realized something I should have been doing. I'm going to duplicate this layer over here, and I'm going to take the picture, drag it underneath into layer 2. I'm going to click on the picture, I'm going to go edit cut, and I'm going to paste that onto layer 2. Edit, paste. Alright, now you notice that of course it doesn't line up, so I now have to move it into position so it does line up. The arrow keys allow you to move things with a lot of effects. The reason I want to do this, I want to be able to very easily hide the image and then re-show it. Okay, that does that. And you can see you're beginning to see the opening, the beginning of a face showing up there. Okay, so that's really, really, really important. All right, now what I'm going to do is I actually need to make some decisions. And one of the decisions is if you notice here, it actually created a couple extra colors here. I'm actually going to make this color here, right around the eye, the same color as this color on the other side here. I think that's a reasonable decision. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take the eyedropper tool. I'm going to select that color, and I'm going to take the trace tool, and I'm going to make the outline black. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start tracing these other parts, okay, just like I did before. If you watch, actually, what I think I'm going to do though is to make sure that I can work on these things separately. I'm going to create another layer, make this layer 3, and I'm just going to start tracing that out like that, so we get a nice, clear example. Now, one of the things you may know, you notice how it's going under. The reason it's going under what I had, and you can probably see a problem. I do have to go to trace and, whoops, I want to fill with nothing so I can see what I'm doing. Alright, and so now this layer is done. I just fill it. And now when I go View, Fit, and Window, you'll see that the second layer begins to show up. And all I have to do is hide the image, and you begin to see a little bit more of the image. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace all the, we'll call it the peach-colored images now. And when I'm done with that, I will come back and show you what the next step looks like. Okay, so the salmon's all done, and I want now you get to actually see what the advantages of having the 3 different layers are. If you hide this, you can actually hide the picture underneath, and one of the things you can see is how much better things are showing up. But the other thing that's kind of helpful here is that if I hide this layer, now that I've just drawn, and show the bottom layer, you can actually see that there's some of the lighter color stuff is not showing up. Okay, in other words, I actually, because I did not feel like tracing all of these little parts, like if you notice there's a part right under his eye that I've covered over, that's because it would have been a real pain in the neck to go back and get those things. Okay, also you notice over his ear the light color stuff that I haven't done yet isn't visible yet. That's what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hide the salmon color and I'm going to go back to the light color. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide that. I'm actually going to create another layer, and I'm going to put that layer, if you notice, this is the top layer. I want that layer to be in between the small layer, this little dark guy, and this guy right here. Okay? So I'm going to hide that, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start tracing this, and I'm going to trace this using, I'm going to take the pen tool, I'm going to sample this middle color now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pen tool, and I'm going to actually, again, trace in black because it just makes it a little easier for me to see. I'm going to take the pen tool and start tracing the cheek here. Alright, and so we're going to go get that color done. This does take a little while. It's actually taking me a good 15-20 minutes in between. And one of the things you may have noticed, there is an important tool that you really need to remember. That was bad. Number one, I actually am going to, for now, paint this with transparency, but I'm going to zoom in real close, use a magnifying glass, zoom in real close, and I want you to understand when you change directions, remember in order to do it nicely, in order to have the curve change directions, you really want to go back, click on the anchor point, and then when you click and drag, you can create the curve. Whoops, that's not what I was trying to do. You click, drag the anchor point, and then you can do click and drag, and that'll make the backwards curve. Alright, so you do want to make sure you have the appropriate curves here. Click and drag, click back on the anchor point, change its direction, click here. It's going to go straight across and then straight across. Alright, now I can just fill it with the guy, and when I go fit back in window, you notice that now it shows, and when I display the salmon, it's now on top because its layer is on top. So it's beginning to actually look a lot more like the rotoscope face that we're shooting for. One of the things, so I'm going to go in, I'm going to do all the color part. One of the things that will work a little bit better, we can get rid of the black outline once we're done, and it probably will look significantly better.